Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am here for my May releases video, and this one I think is going to be a little bit more brief, I guess, than other months are going to be, just because with everything going on in the world, a lot of the late spring titles got bumped back just for the publisher's sakes, for numbers' sake, because people can't go to bookstores and buy books anymore. So a lot of the titles that I was excited about in May and April, this whole time of the year, got bumped until like later summer or even into next year. So I have changed how I format these videos. I no longer really talk about like all of the big titles coming out. I'm just going to talk about the titles that I'm the most excited about. And that number is probably going to vary every month. This month, I think I have 7. I did have a solid 10 when I started making this list, and a lot got shifted into like June and July. But if you guys would like a more comprehensive list of all the other titles that I have my eye on, I have my Goodreads shelf linked down below of like titles that were potentially May releases and may not be anymore, or other ones that I'm not talking about in this video is down there. You can go ahead and follow me on Goodreads. But without further ado, let's get into the 7 titles that I'm the most excited about. The first one being the book that I'm about to start tonight, and that is The Life and Medieval Times of Kit Wheatley by Jamie Packton. I'm so excited for this. You guys know that this is like right up my alley. This is like kind of like a YA version of Well Met. Not really. That's a stretch, but this kind of has the same vibe, and I am such like a Ren Fair nerd. This isn't at a Ren Fair, but this follows a girl who works at a medieval times restaurant as like a waitress. And the little blurb thing says Moxie meets A Knight's Tale, and I was like, sold. I am so on board with that. The tagline is joust like a girl. So this is following Kit, who is obviously our protagonist in this, and she's a waitress at this restaurant, but she dreams to be a knight who actually jousts in the show. So it's kind of like a feminist take on like just gender roles in modern day settings, like a restaurant setting. And on top of that, I'm sure like a romance is going to ensue, because I think one of the knights, she starts to fall for it. I am so excited for this. This is like the exact type of story that I want to read right now. This one is coming out on May 5th, so I'm going to go in order chronologically of release dates. So this is coming on the first Tuesday in May. The next book that's coming out on May 5th is The Tourist Attraction by Sarah Morgenthaler. I am so excited for this. This is hitting like all of my tropes that I love in adult romance. So this is contemporary adult romance, obviously. So this follows Graham, who is a grumpy restaurant owner in Alaska who named his restaurant or his diner The Tourist Trap as a joke, and it kind of turns to be true. This is giving me Hallmark Channel movie vibes because it follows him, who is a grumpy diner owner in Alaska, and a tourist who frequents his diner and just is blushing constantly when he looks her way. She is just like swooning over like these small town Alaskan vibes that she's getting there, and I'm feeling their relationship is going to be precious because I love me a good like grumpy man, happy-go-lucky chick who like kind of balance each other out. I love small town romance. I love Alaskan books. This is hitting all of my checks when it comes to just like feel good adult romance. So this one is also coming on May 5th, and I'm so excited for it. Okay, the last May 5th release that I'm so excited about is Elizabeth Acevedo's newest book, Clap When You Land. Both The Poet X and With the Fire on High are some of like the best YA contemporary that I've ever read. And she is going back to writing in verse in this book, which I am so excited for. Also, she narrates all of her audiobooks, so I am just so excited for the audiobook to come out of this one. But this is following 2 different girls. We are following Camino, who is in the Dominican Republic, and she just idolizes her father, just lives for the summers when he comes to visit her in the DR. And it follows Yahaira, who lives in New York City. And both of these girls' lives are about to come to a crashing halt and collide at the same time, because these are both kind of half-sisters of each other who didn't know about each other's families. And they are kind of forced to be brought together when their father's plane crashes in his flight between the Dominican and America, and he dies. And neither of them knew about each other. And I'm sure in true Acevedo fashion, it's going to really hit hard with cultural and racial issues in the modern day, and just kind of growing up and coming of age issues and family disputes. I'm assuming this is obviously going to have a lot of like domestic issues because we had secret families with the same father. It sounds so good. I can't wait for it. So this one, I was shocked didn't get bumped back, but I'm so ready for it. So May 5th is when we can get this one. All right, moving on to May 12th. We're getting into the title that I'm probably the most intrigued by, and the reviews of this have already been outstanding, and that is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. This totally sounds right up my alley. This is like a gothic-inspired academia type of story that is just like, oh, it sounds so good. It sounds very much like The Secret History, If We Were Villains, Ninth House, where it's following a very prestigious hidden school in the woods of rural Pennsylvania. I don't know where in rural Pennsylvania, but I live in rural Pennsylvania, and I don't know why, for some reason, my state gets all of the creepy-ass stories. Like, I don't think I've ever read anything set in this state that is not weird and messed up and gross and disturbing. I don't know what it is about PA, but we're strange people here, apparently. So anyway, this is set at a very prestigious school called Catherine House that produces like the best of the best. It produces like prize-winning authors, surgeons, like theorists, like the best of the best. Like I said, it's very prestigious to get into, and the only like sacrifice that you have to make for attending the school is that you are there for 3 solid years and you are completely removed from society. Like, you were set in the woods, you were there including summers, you were there for 3 straight years, completely cut off from the outside world. And this is following Inez, who is a student who got admitted to it, and she is just like living the dream. The director seems very like free-spirited and just kind of allows people to like expand their minds in whatever way they see fit, which could be interpreted interestingly enough and very darkly also. I think it's gonna get very dark and twisty. It's very much described as like dark and gothic and like velvets and worn leathers, and it's like a very dark place. I'm getting like Victorian era feels from it. But anyway, this follows Inez, who is a student there, and some tragedy happens at the school that starts to obviously unravel the deep dark secrets that are surrounding this academy and all of the things that they might be hiding and the things that they might be doing behind the scenes that the students aren't aware of, which are my favorite types of stories. I don't know what it is about like academic, like private school, dark, ominous, like society type books, but oh, this sounds so good. And so far, everybody who has read arcs of it has been like raving about it. They are saying this is the best book of 2020, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So the second Tuesday of May is when we can get this, May 12th. Jumping ahead one day, because this is going to be an indie published book, I am so excited for Ringmaster by Brianna Hale. So this is an indie romance author, and you guys can obviously tell why I'm excited about it. I am a huge fan of circus books, and if you're gonna mix in some steamy sexy time in the adult romance genre with circus times, I'm on board. So this is following Cale, who is a ringmaster for a traveling circus, and that is like his chosen lifestyle. That's where he thinks he needs to be. So he is obviously going to be our male love interest, and we're introduced to Raya, who is like an abused, damaged, damsel in distress type of character. I'm pretty sure there is an age gap because it does mention that she is 18 religiously in the description, so I have a feeling this is also going to be an age gap romance. But she ends up being picked up into this traveling circus by Cale and is it says acrobatic horse riding performer. I'm worried about that because that's just called vaulting. That is like an actual sport in the horse world, and there's an actual term for it. It's called vaulting, and I've done it, and I am very curious to see how it's done. But color me excited about this book because circus, horseback riding, romance, steamy times, I'm on board. I've never read Brianna Hale before, but I know others who have, who really like her books, and I know they are pretty steamy, so I am excited. So this one's coming on May 13th. Just a random Wednesday release, why not? Moving on to the final Tuesday of May, May 26th, we are getting 2 more romance books that I'm so excited about. The first one being Queen Move by the queen herself, Kennedy Ryan. This is kind of, I want to say like a spin-off standalone story of the All the King's Men duet, because we were following Kimbra and Ezra, who are characters we met in that series, but they were just side characters. Now we're getting their full story. That's all I need to know. I'm gonna read anything Kennedy Ryan writes from here until the end of time at this point, so you guys can just count on whenever she has a release, it's gonna be included in one of these videos. That's all I know about it. That's all I want to know. Also, look how freaking beautiful this cover is. Like, can we get over her? She's stunning. Okay, moving on to the next one. And the last book I want to talk about is one that I'm so excited to see how it's done. That is Something to Talk About by Meryl Wilsner, and this is Berkeley Romance's first female-female romance that they're releasing, and I am so ready for it. So this is following kind of a workplace romance, I want to say. It's following Jo, who is a famous actress, and there is just this one photograph that gets blown up in the tabloids of her making her assistant laugh on the red carpet. And there's a whole bunch of rumors that start circulating after that photo gets released that they are a couple, and they kind of just like laugh it off and brush it off behind the scenes, but the paparazzi start trying to like feed into this relationship that didn't really exist, but they're kind of starting to make exist. And the two women themselves also kind of start to realize that they are really good together. And not only is her assistant really good at anticipating what she needs, just like in the work world, but also in her personal life, which kind of leads to some butterfly feelings. I'm so excited for the story. It just sounds so good. I'm so excited that Berkley is finally releasing a dang sapphic romance. Like, it's about time. But I'm so excited for it. It looks so good. So this one is also coming on May 26th. Those are all of the books that I wanted to talk about in this video. I had much more on this list. Alas, those will be eventually put onto future release videos whenever they actually get a permanent release date. So I hope you guys are excited. Let me know down in the comments what you were excited about this month, and I'll see you guys in my next video.